Hello, wrestling fans. This is Smart Mark, and this is the IWO Show, aka the Impact Wrestling Observer. Joining me on the IWO hotline is my co-host, the Creeper. Say hey.
Hey, Mark. Oh, sorry, Smart Mark. Good to be here.
Good to have you, man. And you know, this is how we roll. We got to get the shows out, so even if we can't be together in the same room, we're going to make it happen.
Sounds good.
So last night on Impact, just a couple of fairly interesting things. The crowd was great, and generally when we've seen them do like two recordings from the same show, that second show is almost always like the crowd's half full, and the British crowd was representing last night. It was really felt just as big as the first show, I would say.
It did look good. I'm going to assume they probably offered some free tea and crumpets to keep the crowd looking that good, but it was a good-looking crowd, and I think it will continue with the British shows to be a good-looking crowd.
And first thing is probably the most important thing that came out of the show is we've got new tag team champions. Austin Aries and Bobby Roode went ahead and took out Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez and are now the tag team champs, and I couldn't be much happier. I think that this is going to be a really awesome run for those guys. What do you think?
It should be good. I mean, anybody who knows me knows that I've been an Austin Aries fan from the moment I saw him call out Jeff Hardy. So, I mean, I like to see it. Bobby Roode's good. I like how it went down. Bobby kind of walking away like, you're going to do this on your own. And coming back to save the day.
Yeah, I think that was a really good piece of work right there. I thought that whole match was actually a pretty excellent match. It was pretty entertaining.
I thought it was good. I don't get on the boat say many Chavo Guerrero matches are good, but I think with him, with Hernandez as his tag team partner, and, against two skilled and good wrestlers like Bobby Roode and Austin Aries, it turned out to be a great match.
And then in the main event last night, we had Aces and Eights members Doc and Devon against Sting and the reinstated Bully Ray. Bully Ray had the face paint on, and it was a tables match, which ended with Bully Ray putting Devon through the table, but not before a very, he hulked up on Devon, went through basically all the classic moves, waving the finger, even hit him with the big boot. Instead of going for the leg drop, that's when he put him through the table. But this was a fairly good match. I felt like everybody was pretty into Bully Ray, and there was a segment before the match where he's talking to Hogan backstage and, calls him Dad as he's walking away from him, and then to go through the whole hulking up thing. Again, it's good build up for Bully Ray as a top face, but Aces and Eights loses another match, and I would like to see that trend come to an end, but what did you think about it, man?
I thought it was a good match. Again, big surprise. Aces and Eights lost. I keep holding on to that fact that something isn't right with Bully, but I think by him hulking up and dropping the boot, I think he pretty much proved his loyalty to Hogan and TNA.
Now, we've talked a little about it on the last episode, and you were saying that you thought it was all a big deal where Bully was going to be turning on Hogan, but, after kind of thinking about it, I've been thinking that maybe Brooke Hogan will be the one to turn. There's been a couple of pretty hokey kidnapping incidences, and really starting to wonder if maybe we're going to see some kind of turn where she turns on Hogan and Bully Ray, or something along those lines. What do you think about that, man?
I think that could be a good curveball that they throw at people. Nobody would expect, his own daughter to turn on him. So it seems like something in the world of wrestling that could happen.
The only thing I really see that might be the big drawback is if that were to happen, now you're in a situation where Brooke Hogan has to play a heel, and I just don't know if that's going to work.
She would probably have to take some acting classes to be able to pull that off. But, I mean, I think it more gets her face out there so people can be like, oh, it's Brooke Hogan.
True. There was one other match that I kind of had a particular interest in, and we ended up with James Storm in what was kind of an impromptu match against
Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse. And the thing of it is for now 2 weeks we've kind of seen James Storm in a program, be it with being Velvet's tag team partner against Jesse and Tara, and then this week coming out and fighting Jesse. I feel like this is really poor usage of the Cowboy, man. He's one of their top guys, and I just don't know what this really does as far as getting him any, more face appeal.
I mean, that's all I see it as, is he's probably one of the top contenders for the belt, as he should be, because, he's changed the work. But with Jeff Hardy not there, it's more of a, let's keep his face out there, and then when we get back to the States, maybe we'll start pushing him for the belt. I think it would have been better if before they did this whole trip, as I've heard you say off air, if Christopher Daniels would have beat Jeff Hardy before they went over there. And then the first week, James Storm could have won the title or something. It makes no sense for him to be taking on Jesse. I mean, it's not like Jesse's anybody of great importance. I see him more as Tara's arm, as Tara's valet than a serious wrestler.
And at the moment, that's certainly true. I think that what I have seen of Jesse makes me think he could definitely be a lot more than that as we go. But at the moment, I just didn't feel like that was smart booking at all.
I mean, last week when it was James Storm and Velvet Sky versus Jesse and Tara, it makes sense. You have Velvet Sky, who, people like. Let's team her up with pretty much our biggest face that isn't involved with the Aces and Eights somehow, really doesn't have anything going on, per se, for the storyline, brings the fans in to watch. But this week, just him and Jesse, it was silly. I didn't see the point in it.
And we also this week got the first appearance of Rockstar Spud. He had a little segment with the Robbies where it kind of looked like more and more Robbie T getting away from Robbie E, and kind of, looked like him and Rockstar Spud dancing around at the end and whatnot might have hit it off. Maybe we'll see those guys as a tag team or something in the future. I'm not sure. What did you think of Rockstar Spud?
From what I saw of him, I'll go on record first to say that that's a horrible name, Rockstar Spud. And I'd rather see, was it Robbie T? There's so many letters that sound the same. I know it's not Robbie E, but I'd rather see him go off and do something on his own. Maybe team up with one of the knockouts to take on ODB and whatever Earl Man's name is.
they're going to be really connected at all. It just kind of felt like that based off of that one segment. But, you know, it could be totally just that's what they wanted to do for that night. I thought Rockstar Spud in and of himself, like, looks good. Looks like a, you know, could be a X Division type star. But you're right, that is a horrible name. I don't know if people will get behind him with a name like that or not in any real capacity.
I don't see many people rushing to the merchandise stand to pick up a Rockstar Spud t-shirt. I do think from what I did see of him, I think he would be a good challenger to Rob Van Dam for the X Division title. He looks like he can fly around the ring. But, yeah, I just can't get behind the name.
Well, we'll see how he does, and, you know, maybe we'll get won over by the dude at some point. But was there anything else you wanted to talk about from this week's episode?
Not that I can think of. I do want to bring up a point that we had discussed before, and that I'd like to see him push Joey Ryan more. I mean, 87%, he's the king of sleeves. They need to get him out there.
Yeah, it has been. He's been missing from the show for a few weeks now, and I agree with you that that's somebody that could have been getting pushed right now, especially as a heel. I think he, even though people like him, I think they like him as a bad guy. I don't think they need to be turning him face. But hopefully we'll see him next week. I don't know if he's even in on the British tour with them or not, but
I think my theory is that they're not going to turn him face, but people like him because he's the king of sleeves. It's that we want this guy to be a bad guy, so we're going to give him the persona of a bad guy, of a heel. But the fans are going to love him because he's so charismatic.
well,
I'm not saying he's horribly charismatic. He's not, you know, he still has to get time out there, but he has the camera ability, I should say.
well, we also haven't really seen the blow up between him and Morgan that, you know, I think everybody kind of feels is probably coming. So maybe, I mean, if they do, my guess would be that's how we're going to see him turned face, is by Morgan turning on him, and the people will get behind that. We'll see.
I can get behind that.
We'll see. I don't know if they're going to even mention that they're splitting up. Maybe that's why they're off TV, is to make us forget about it and to kind of bring them both back separately. I don't know. We'll have to see, I guess.
I'll go with the assumption that they're afraid that Matt Morgan's going to break into Buckingham Palace and go wild on Prince Charles, and that's why he's not on a British tour. It's a far-fetched theory, but one some people could get behind.
I doubt many people will get behind that, but I guess that would be a perfect point for us to stop the show and say goodbye to these people. All right. Well, you know, here you go again, man. We get towards the end of the show, you say something stupid, and, I mean, stop making me do this. I don't want to do it every week. Just be quiet.
Well,
let it go.
Maybe you should stop thinking my ideas are stupid and get on the gravy train and agree with me, because I've been right in the past.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the powers that be at TNA did not take Matt Morgan on this British tour out of fear that he would attack Prince Charles in Buckingham Palace. Okay. Well, if anybody wants to weigh in on their comments on that and jump on that bandwagon, feel free to do so. If not, we don't blame you. I certainly don't. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Say goodbye to the people, Creeper.
Goodbye, people.
For the IWO show, I am Smart Mark saying goodbye, and we will see you next time.